Disconnect your short phone.
Stand by. Stand clear. Launch.
Bless this ship that it may be strong to protect us.
Whenever, wherever, and whatever the national need, in war or in peace.
Here where over 500 ships have been constructed, friends, in the last 85 years.
In a shipyard, there's always change, and there's always pride, because shipbuilding is a special blend of tradition and innovation, of heavy machinery and individual craftsmanship. Back in 1886, Newport News Shipbuilding started on 7 acres along the James River in Virginia. 5 years later, the fledgling company's 200 were launched hull number 1, a 90-foot tugboat named Dorothy. Today, the world's largest private shipyard employs nearly 24,000 men and women and covers 470 acres along 2 miles of riverfront. During 9 decades, the yard has delivered every kind of vessel, from cargo ships and tankers to the world's fastest liner, from gunboats and yachts to America's first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Despite this change and growth, one facet of shipbuilding remains essentially unchanged. Like her predecessors, large or small, Hull 607 on Shipway 8 is getting ready for her birthday, the day she's launched. She's a nuclear-powered Navy cruiser, and her name is Mississippi.
My name is Joe Holzbank. I'm a project engineer on this launching. It's my job to see that everything is coordinated. I have to do the planning and the coordination and make sure that, follow up, make sure that everything is done in its proper time and done in its proper way.
A shipyard boasts one of the broadest ranges of job skills in industry, but they all focus on one goal: to make a sound ship.
All our work we take pride in. We try to do everything to perfection. That's the job right there.
It's nice to know when one of those ships go that you've been a part of building one. I've been on this one, busted rust from the ground on up to where I'm at now.
It's always something interesting, something new every day. Been here 29 years at it, so it's got to be good.
Get complicated town, still a good place to be.
Yeah, I've been in the shipyard 20 years, and I work in the shipwright department.
Of all the trades, the shipwrights is perhaps the oldest and proudest. When ships were made of wood, they did it all. Now they're responsible for supporting hulls made of steel and getting them safely into the water.
The shipwright was basically a woodworker, and it was his job to do the woodwork that was necessary to support the vessel. The shipbuilder speaks a different language. He doesn't talk about when he talks about a floor, he's talking about a vertical member. When he talks about a deck, he's talking about a horizontal member. And if you talk about a wall to a shipbuilder, he doesn't know what you're talking about. It's a bulkhead. If somebody was to mention on the outside a hutchet, you'd think there was some place that we kept your pigeons. Actually, they're large blocks that we put at the back of the sliding ways.
Superintendent of the Shipwrights Department is Tom Paris, a veteran of almost 40 years in shipbuilding.
We are responsible for installing all of your groundways, slideways, packing, all of everything that you'll see under the ship.
The groundways, has grease on top. Between the groundways and the slideways, you have grease because everything goes overboard except for the groundways.
The key to launching is to transfer Hull 607 from its present stationary supports to a cradle built on sliding ways, much like a huge sled on runners. 10 weeks before launch, the sliding ways are dragged into place on 2 fixed tracks under the ship, called ground ways. The ways are made of greenheart, a tough wood especially resistant to water. They must carry a launch load of more than 7,000 tons.
In the installation of grease, you have two basic types of grease. You have what we call a base coat, which is a heavy, hard coat. And on top of this, you just have a slip coat, which is nothing but a real greasy grease, which causes the ship to slide.
Shipway 8 is built at a slight incline so that gravity and grease will do the job on day of launch. When the sliding ways are set, the launch cradle will rise above them. It is built of softwoods cut to fit the shape of the hull. The shipwrights will use 300,000 board feet of lumber, enough to build 20 three-bedroom homes.
Ron, the other day I was talking to you about this path of ship at launch. Well, I gotta get some soundings here.
It is vital to determine the exact path a ship will take into the water. Ben Liverman of the Hull Technical Department has prepared a detailed plot. Ron Pollock explains.
On this plot is indicated the position of the ship as it sits on the shipway, as it slides down the shipway, and as it pivots, as it floats free of the shipway. The primary reason for the plot is to indicate the depth at which the aft end of the ship goes in the water during the launch process.
This operation is just a normal operation, which I'll be doing, going down under the water to start an operation in preparation for launching a ship.
Soundings have been taken outside Shipway 8 to make sure the river is clear of obstacles. Now, diver Clarence Lawrence goes down to blow away silt and mud from the base of the shipway gate, which will be removed before launch.
You have this nozzle that you're jetting mud with, and you're having 80 to 100 pounds of pressure on this nozzle. The diver lays down flat into mud. He gets into mud just like a turtle.
Gail, as an item up on the deck, I'd like for you to meet me up there in a few minutes and take a look at it if you can.
All righty. I have a couple jobs myself.
Hull Construction Superintendent John Henderson is the man in charge of building Hull 607. For 17 months, he has supervised an average daily force of 750 workers.
People on the launching platform or people observing the launch who are not familiar with the shipyard would be amazed at what's inside of the ship, just like you would a letter. You have 10 pages. You can't tell by looking at an envelope how many pages are inside of it. And as in relating to launch, our primary concern is to make sure that we have a tight ship. We usually have a very detailed inspection of the outside hull. We're responsible to see that all the tanks have been pressurized and have been proven tight to ensure the integrity of the ship.
The steel envelope John Henderson will send down the ways is 585 feet long and 63 feet wide. It's a honeycomb of decks and compartments, providing living and working space for nearly 500 men. When completed by the yard's outfitters, a task requiring 18 months, Henderson's envelope will displace 11,000 tons of seawater, yet be able to move at greater than 30 knots, faster than most speedboats. Every square inch of the envelope and its supporting compartments below water level must be air and watertight. In 1893, the shipyard's founder, Collis P. Huntington, wrote, "I think we have got the best shipyard plant in the world. What I want to do is have for it the reputation of building the best ships, so do not make any calculations on scrimping the works on any of their parts." Nighttime brings memories of the past. Hull number 5 in 1892 was the cargo ship El Rio, the first built with pre-assembled components. Number 281 was a yacht for Alfred DuPont in 1924, during the lean years, when employment dropped below 2,000 and the yard built barges and railroad cars. In 1927, the Coast Guard cutter Northland, number 318, proved the superiority of welding over riveting. Hull 359, the carrier Yorktown, which turned the tide of war at Midway and did not come back. Hull 488, the liner United States. And then there was Hull 280, the Coamo, an ordinary freight liner which survived a terrible hurricane in 1930. "Don't praise me," said her chief engineer afterwards. "Praise the shipbuilding company. They made a fine ship when they made this one." Great care is lavished on small jobs as well as big ones. Before every launch, metal workers fabricate a custom aluminum jacket for the champagne bottle, a modern touch to a ritual dating back 4,000 years. Putting a ship into the sea was once a religious ceremony. The Greeks and Romans called upon high priests to bless their crews. In the Middle Ages, shrines were placed on board, and red wine was poured on the deck. Champagne is used today, and breaks with this tradition at Newport News have been rare. During Prohibition, one sponsor used river water from her home state, another a blend of water from the 7 seas. The sail loft once was busy sewing canvas. Now it prepares the bunting for launch day.
This has been a tradition in our family since 1919.
Mrs. Alverne Powell and her granddaughter Nan carry on a unique family tradition.
With the ribbon and netting. We had quite a time getting the pattern worked out on this so that it would fit the bottle. Notice, Nan, that on the one that you're working on, we have...
The greatest stress in a ship's life occurs when her stern first hits the water and her bow swings down hard against the launch cradle. To protect the hull and spread the weight evenly, shipwrights reinforce the forward end of the cradle with concrete. They call this special reinforcement the saddle.
Okay, what they're doing now is pulling the packing wire up. You're going to have to pull the wire up, get the strain out of it, and secure it to the deck with clamps and ropes to a pad on the deck.
The riggers play a key role during the final weeks. With packing wire, they lash the entire cradle to the hull. It and the saddle become part of the ship at launch. Steel rods are pushed through from one sliding way to the other and securely bolted to prevent the cradle from separating.
It's kind of like rails on a sled, runners. And the ship is tied to those runners with these blocks and the cables and the rods and all. And so that when all the devices that are holding the ship back are released, the ship, sitting on top of the rails, slides down the runway.
In the trigger pit, sunk beneath the groundways under the hull, final tests are begun. Trigger pit is the nerve center on launch day, connected by telephone and closed-circuit television with the sponsor's stand.
Gentlemen, we have here a model of a 500-ton mechanical trigger, similar to the one that we're going to use under the ship for the launch in the Mississippi. There are 2 triggers located under the ship, one port, one starboard. About amidship, and they're located port and starboard about 1/6 of the width of the ship. They're located in the groundways. This portion of the trigger actually forms part of the groundways. When we finish, take out all the shoring, all the blocking, all the weight of the ship will be resting against this large trigger lever. The trigger, the upper trigger lever, this lever at launch is holding the entire weight of the ship and will support it until we release this trigger, at which time the ship will go down the ship. Now, when we get down to the last minute before launch, we will take this and we will withdraw first this pin, which is our main pin that sticks through the large lever so that you cannot drop the trigger. This is the way the trigger is today. We'll leave it in that condition until launching day. 30 seconds prior to launch, we'll give the order to pull the eccentric pin. You'll pull that pin for me. Once that pin has been pulled, then we blow the whistle, and we'll stand by, and upon breaking the bottle, we'll release this lever, drop the tray.
2 days to launch. The pace quickens. The first of 113 keel blocks are knocked out. "76 heavy metal bars called grease irons have kept the full weight of ship and cradle off the groundways for 10 weeks. They are now pulled out and counted, 38 from the port side, 38 from the starboard. The men make absolutely sure that none are left behind to jam the ways and endanger a smooth slide." The staging comes down in sections, and the shipway is cleared of all tools and equipment. Thousands of feet of air, water, and power lines are rolled up. The day before launch, nearly 200 shores are cut down. In the old days, they were knocked out by ram gangs, paced by chanters with loud voices. Port and starboard teams raced toward the bow, cheered on by co-workers and spectators. That tradition is gone, but old-timers still remember. Elton Futrell, now retired, came to the yard in 1940 and later became famous as the leader of the ram gangs.
Hey! Whoa! Whoa! Two! Yay! Two! Give me your weight, man. Give me your weight. Drop heavy, neighbor. Drop heavy. Boom! Whoa! Whoa! And that time you see them just breaking into and just falling everywhere, man. Bark and everything. And people scattering to them things that fly so rapidly.
Hydraulic panel. Lead valves.
Noon, Friday. 24 hours to launch. The lower part of the shipway is flooded. The water covers the after groundways, protecting their fresh coat of grease from the sun. Now the water-filled shipway gate can be pumped out and towed away.
Men are pulled from all over the yard to wedge up or to man the ram rallies. We have 4 rallies for 5 minutes each, which the men ram up the wedges to shift the weight from the temporary structure over to the sliding ways.
Wedging up is the crux of the entire weight transfer process. The ship strains on the ways. Only the triggers hold it back. Everything is ready. Day of launch.
Well, hail, the gang's all here. How you doing? Hey, man, how you doing? Glad to see you.
You'll just let me know when the 4 minutes are going to start running, huh?
I'm gonna call off over the PA system. 3 minutes to launch, 2 minutes to launch, 1 minute to launch, give you 1 minute of silence.
All right.
And then go on. I'll give you the whistle at 30 seconds, the siren at 30, and the whistle at 10. If she breaks the bottle, we'll let her go.
The christening of a great ship is an honor reserved for very few. Shipyard Chairman John P. Diesel prepares today's sponsor to take her place in a long line of distinguished predecessors. She's 20-year-old Janet Finch, daughter of the governor of Mississippi. For a century and a half, the tradition throughout the world has been that women christen ships. It has been broken only once at Newport News when a 15-year-old boy christened hull 190 in 1916.
And I've been here 37 years, and I've never seen a launching yet that somehow I don't get that feeling and fluttering like I hear when I hear the Star Spangled Banner. I get that same kind of feeling when I see a launching.
Out on the James River, tugboat captain R.F. Hunley and his crew stand by to pick up hull 607 and tow her to an outfitting pier on the yard's south side.
Good morning. I'm Jack Diesel, and I welcome you to Newport News Shipbuilding for the launching of the Mississippi.
Of our freedom, the spirit of our heart, and the patriotism of our life.
Guests have joined us. Our principal speaker, Senator John C. Stennis of Mississippi.
Pride in achievements of a personal nature, be they large or small.
One of the most complex piece of equipment ever built by man.
Commanded the original Hornet. 17 months ago, many of us were here.
They'll draw more than 8,000 plants. They'll install more than 7,000 tons of steel and arrange nearly 10 miles of electrical cable. And if you will accompany me to the stand, we'll get on with our business.
Boy, how's the launch coming?
Mr. Bill, we're needing 320 tons pressure on the second. Add 10 tons on the jack's port start to make sure we get a good start. Report back when complete.
3 minutes to launch.
Standing by.
Yes, sir. Captain, we'll have the Equity and the Huntington and the Cape Hatteras be participating in the launch.
2 minutes to launch.
Trigger fit at the topside control station. Mr. Anderson, check the river conditions, the conditions of the ship, and the personnel topside. Report back.
1 minute to launch. Eccentric pins out.
Hang on out. Eccentric pins out. Stand by. Siren. Clear.
I christen thee Mississippi.
Launch.